Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, I connect the dot. An epiphany, a mind explosion, a cute cat, a new book to read, a new author to explore. Please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description. That way I can feed Freya Kitty and take care of myself. Another way you could do that is if you're interested in pyramids, business card holders. I make a lot of different colors, more different types of pyramids, arts, artwork, and drawings and candles and all kinds of fun stuff. You can check out my website, Allylatkreciations211. That is just my portfolio. If you're interested in anything, please message me, either email or when Facebook Messenger wants to work. That's a very big help for me, as I still don't know if I have a part-time job and waiting for responses from a lot of places I applied to. Not having much luck in those arenas, which just is telling me I don't know what to do. I'm kind of stuck in that what to do process. Hang on, guys. The law of one, my insights on the law of one. This took me, I'm only doing one session today, and this took me forever because every time I read a little bit, I got a lot of downloads. A lot of downloads. And then I had a headache and I had to take a little kitty cat nap with that one because I had off today. Tobacco, mind you. Third cup of coffee. I had water throughout the entire day. Need coffee. Which is a good thing. I'm getting an intense amount of downloads, uploads. This section, session 82, March 27, 1982, validates the way in which I perceive how things are structured in our universe. It's just more validation on top of validation from a lot of the books that I read of what I've been hearing lately and channeling from the Arcturian. So I'm probably already in the sixth density Arcturian self coming down and giving me little tidbits and clues unbeknownst to me because I don't channel them. Uh, I can't say I don't channel them because it's myself, but I'm not like channeling another at like something outside of myself. Let's just say that, or my other self in differentiation. There's a lot to say here. I took the book downstairs with me because I usually read upstairs. Um, that I'm going to quote from possibly because I have to limit how many times I quote so that I'm not in copyright compliance and not compliant. Though I would have expect if LL Research would tap into Quell and ask. I'm sure that my if they reviewed my channel and actually went through what I say in my spiritual soul advices, they would leave me alone. And I don't think it's not Dolores Cannon's people. So thankfully I will should be fine. All the vices of life. The questioner asks Ra if he has any knowledge on octaves and the previous amount. So the octave is moving up in the density of its fullest, purest form. It's like the full octane of energy that can be experienced in a density, in my understanding. Oh, that's some good coffee. Ra replies, in their awareness, we are an infinite creation. There is no counting of octaves in anything prior, because all time is simultaneous. So there is an infinite amount of creation instantaneously happening in the now moment. Wrap your head around that. That's hard to conceive. But even today, during Daniel Scranton, Brian Scott was doing a channeled reading from the creators. They said it's a very hard conception to wrap your mind around, the human brain, that there is no time, that your 1717 self is now playing out in that time frame. Your Atlantean self is playing out that paradigm right now. All time is concurrent. And I do mention reconstructing reality, and it's the same notion where you're going up into your fifth density self, where you're still separate. You have your feminine, your masculine, but now you can become androgynous, meaning you can combine those components of you and mesh into one. In your separateness, you're going down to third density as a guide to that third density self, and being the little voice in in your own head saying, come out of love and not fear. Go read the book. It'll help you understand what I'm saying. But they're healing that fifth density self in Venus is coming down and healing the third density self. So that's all what you're doing right now is your higher self is potentially being a guide to you in this vehicle, saying and being your thoughts in your head and saying, hi, oh no, that's your gut instinct. No, don't do that. You need this experience, tread lightly. Meaning like a relationship or something you're supposed to do in life. Like all is experience that you need to learn. And this is just one little bit of a tidbit of a layer that is expounded here. It is a lot, is a lot. So that's why I'm leaving it to this one section because my brain wrapping around this, how to convey it in my insights. Ooh, that took all day between me taking breaks, and I am now making, I got a donation of ribs. So I'm making the ribs to pulled pork. Fun times. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving to those who are celebrating right now. I don't know what my day is going to bring. I know I will probably traverse JQ and Dina's homestead headquarters. I'm not sure what time, but I'll be over there and probably hang out with Viking, maybe. I don't know. Didn't get a call today, so I don't know what's going on, but we'll see what happens. The questioner asked about the beginning of this octave, calling it a void in space, implying an infinite number of systems of galactic nature, a spiral fashion simultaneously. So the questioner is boggled about the concept of outwardly expansion. That if This is like the part where I had a problem trying to convey what the questioner was trying to ask. So he's looking at a totality of like the Milky Way. And we have the central sun, and then we have different systems within that central, which are the Milky Way, Andromeda, and all the rest, and how our sun is a star, and how consciousness is outwardly expanding, but it's in a centralized point, and he was a little confused. And Ra responds that the inquiry has some confusions. Quote, the nature of true simultaneity. I'm so saying that wrong, but mind you, my brain is off. Is such that indeed all is simultaneous. Remember what I just said a little bit ago. However, in your modes of perception, you would perhaps more properly view the seeding of the creation as that of growth from the center or core outwards. The second confusion lies in the term void. We would substitute the now plenum. I don't know what that is. End quote. Yeah. The questioner expands from there, from looking through a telescope, seeing octaves, the galaxies spiraling out, asking about the rate of spreading out. So once we have the central, let's say the Milky Way is a spiral galaxy, and it's spiraling and moving and expanding, and then you have Andromeda, and you have the other spiral galaxies that we can physically see with a telescope. Okay, whether that is a simulated a component of our matrix that we wrote, it's up for debate. It could be in the firmament, it could be outside the firmament. Whatever you perceive is not wrong, by the way. They're just coming from the standpoint of as if there is outer space, which is creator. Okay. Ra replies, quote, there is a center to infinity, end quote. From that center, it all spreads out. There are centers to creation, star systems, planetary systems, galaxies, ultimately leading to consciousness. Expanding on this, Ross states, quote, in the case of the galactic systems, the first manifestation of the logos is a cluster of central systems which generate the outward spiraling energies producing, in their turn, for the energy centers for the logos or what you would call stars. And trying to encapsulate this in my mind, it's picturing how your cells divide. Mitosis. Like you have one cell and then it splits and it becomes two and it becomes and then your cells have to actually do something so they move within the system of your blood. So think of your blood as space, whether it be the void in which air is here or the vacuum or whatever you want to conceptualize space. And the same kind of mitosis action is happening within that one consciousness expanding out. And eventually those systems have to go to create room for more and have a duty and a job to do. So the consciousness within the logi, the star, all planetary lands beyond our consciousness, is expanding. So I started to see the cellular structure of how our bodies work as in turn to the bigger macrocosm. Let's hope I am interpreting it that way, in the right way. This next part is what I've been saying. And very important for all of us to absorb and integrate into our being. Ra's not the only one that says this. The questioner asks why original thought expands outward. Ra, quote, "This is the plan of the one infinite creator. The one original thought is the harvest of all previous, if you would use this term, experience of the creator by the creator. As it decides to know itself, it integrates itself into the plenum full of the glory and power." That's that word that I couldn't pronounce earlier. "Of the one infinite creator, which is manifested to your perceptions as space or outer space." End quote. Ra continues to say, through our free will, we choose methods of knowing itself. Quote, "The creator does not properly create as much as it experiences itself." End quote. That was mind-blowing. 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 My mind was blown. The creator does not properly create as much as it experiences itself. That's a conundrum in its own self, because as a part of the creator, we are simultaneously always creating. But it's the fractal within us that is source, that is experiencing itself through our creations. Wrap your head around that. I'm being channeled. That's why I'm pausing. I've been being channeled. That's why I'm pausing. This concept that has just been laid out here is conveyed by so many people in so many different avenues of interpretation. We, being the creator, are constantly, unbeknownst to us, are creating our now moment at every moment of every now moment. Wrap your head around that. Everything here that you see, I created. The universe at large, we have all compiled our thoughts as source in higher densities and dimensional spaces and created for us to experience. So therefore, it's our free will choice to be here. We all volunteer to be here because creator needed to know itself in this density into an expansiveness. And we'll go into that a little bit later. But this is mind-boggling and not easy to really comprehend in terms of perception. I was talking to Viking, he's like, I need tangible evidence. And a lot of people need tangible evidence. But that's where the lack of faith and going within hits for most people. Because a human brain needs something to see, experience, and sense. When you're not doing the work on yourself, what I see and believe to be tangible, other people won't, because they're not doing the work on themselves to open up their expansiveness to experience. You might not be able to tangibly touch something, but I know a lot of people that's been seeing the glitches in the sky and the trees, has been seeing the sparkles and seeing different kind of paradigms. And that is a fleeting frequency that people get so elevated into just by doing mundane things. People told me they have driven past something and have went back and it's a whole different like paradigm. They're like, did I shift dimensions? You did to an extent, but it's a potentiality of a future you can experience. We see these things and then we doubt ourselves because that can't be real. The doubt is there because we limit our expansion. When you do the work on yourself to know that God's experiencing itself through you, that you orchestrated this life for it to know itself through you, that changes the game. The questioner asks, because that first part is going to tie into some other parts. So let's put that on the shelf for a minute. Asks about what form or condition or experience of the first division of consciousness from the onset of our octave. Ra responds, the prior octave, creator of love manifested in body, mind, and spirit. Thus, this experience of creator can be said to be the first division. Potentially. This is a big paragraph and I don't feel like writing it down. So, quote, a great deal of creation was manifested without the use of the concepts involved in consciousness as you know it. The creation itself is a form of consciousness, which is unified. The Logos being the one great heart of creation. The process of evolution through this period, which may be seen to be timeless, is most valuable to take into consideration, for it is against the background of this essential unity of the fabric of creation that we find the ultimate development of the Logi, which chose to use that portion of the harvested consciousness of the Creator to move forward with the process of knowledge of itself. As it had been found to be effective to use the various densities which are fixed in each octave in order to create conditions in which self-conscious sublogi could exist. This was carried out throughout the growing flower-strewn field, as your simile suggests, of the one infinite creation. The first beings of mind, body, and spirit were not complex. The experience of mind, body, spirits at the beginning of this octave of experience was singular. There was no third density for getting. There was no veil. The lessons of third density are predestined by the very nature of the vibratory rates experienced during this particular density and by the nature of the quantum jump to the vibratory experiences of fourth density. There is a lot there to unpack. So it is suggested that third density, when it first began, did not have a veil of forgetting for consciousness. The questioner asked Ra then, after that whole paragraph, about before the veil dropped in third density and its purpose. Ra states the third density is to learn the way of love is the purpose of incarnation. Ra goes on to say that nature of said third density is constant, all about learning no matter what form or catalyst. The lessons and mechanisms are the same. Hence, reconstructing reality, going back to heal out of love instead of fear. What changed to stop the third density looping polarization? I know there's a lot there. Let's unpack. So the central logi, the central sun, you can call that Alcyone if we want to give it a name, shoots out little stars and little galaxies and little this and little that, and then comes our system. Then hence our sun, which is conscious. All the planets are conscious. All of them have densities and dimensional spaces that we can only perceive their density. Some of us can do 4 or 5. In essence, we can't experience it, but we can sometimes see through our telescopes, whether it be the Truman Show and the light falls down from the sky. There's all perceptions of different things that people see. Not one of them is right or wrong. The logi, when operated without the veil of forgetting, wanted its entities to choose love. And without the veil, the experience wasn't being really learned. Because through polarity, you walk through experience, you gain the understanding and the wisdom from the said lesson that source can learn from you through itself in order to have a greater and bigger propensity. The problem that was being faced in that space-time, was that mere entities would be looping. That's what we all want to equate the soul trap to. It's on a trap. We weren't seeing the lessons that needed to be learned when the veil was remembered. When you knew your other selves and your other lives, and you chose different, you could still have free will, and you chose to really just sit and go, meh, and not really experience life. There was many catalysts, but not few and far between, that would actually help you to polarize, to graduate, meaning ascend. As I said earlier, when this physical shell, this cutie pie shell, dies, no longer exists, the essence of me ascends to the next level, whatever that level is. And in that level, sorry, I'm in a lot of pain, guys. So I'm shifting around like an animal. When that experience is met to go to whatever paradigm you're going to go to, that then energy that you once were ascends, gains some knowledge and wisdom, and does its healing. And its healing is going back into the third density experience and healing things out of love and not fear. That's a greater avenue of how Source can experience itself and is already experiencing itself. And the veil of forgetting, it's not a bad thing, it's an actual good thing. And I didn't read if it's in this chapter or this session when the veil of forgetting actually started to occur. But I know this is an experiment, and I guess at some point the low guy expressed to the sub low guy, which is our sun, and the other planetary systems, we need some changes because we're not gaining and going anywhere. We're kind of stagnant in evolution. The experiences are not being played out for God to know itself in all its forms in an exponential way. There's not enough catalysts. There are catalysts, but not enough of them that are a potential for beings to graduate. And this is the looping that we've experienced with the veil. Because I have a feeling that most of us have been in third density. Even though we have ascended out of this, we keep coming back to say, okay, I got it this time. Great. And then we forget. And the potentiality of harvest from that standpoint has been also stalled. So this is a grand experiment. Other systems have this system, but not to the in-depthness that we do. We chose this. You know, Dolores Cannon does say that if we knew our contracts, our lives would be very mundane and boring because you're not really going to confront the challenges and experiences because you already know how to navigate through them. Sure, you could do it in a different capacity, in a different way, with a different mindset, a different attitude. Sure. But that's not walking and gaining the full experience and the soul growth that you need to move forward. When you don't know and you have to put your faith into Source, that all is going to be okay, and have faith in that untangibleness, that's when the real growth and experience happens, because then all your emotional states is being plucked. Through the emotions, through the feelings that you experience on an everyday basis, is what the infinite all wants to experience. Whether that be anger and judgment, shame, blame, happiness, elation. It needs it all. All of it. And this is all constantly, continuously happening simultaneously. And whether the veil was dropped or not, the learning, no matter what form or catalyst, the lessons and mechanisms are the same. We're just enriched with a higher expansion rate of that experience because we didn't know about it prior. When you have a remembering, like many of us came in remembering certain components of what we are and some things that we're missioned to do. Okay, but that still doesn't equate my everyday life that I have to go through certain difficulties and catalysts. That doesn't change. Not remembering how I pull through out of it is what is the difficulty. And that's the slow growth that will help polarization and getting us out of this paradigm or octave of experience. So you not remembering your other selves, being everybody on the outside world, and not equating God in all things. You're just living your everyday life. You don't remember what you are, who you are. It's self-discovery. It's the path and the journey you take to discover who you are. The crux and essence of what the law of one really is stating. To know thyself, the differentiated fractal of source. To know thyself is source, that you're a unique component of the galaxy, all the systems, the one thought sprung you and everything around you is conceptually very hard to pull into an awareness for many. Those of you who have this awareness and is living it, embracing it, integrating it, knowing thyself in all capacities of your where your frequency is. Okay, we're forever expanding, just like the universe is forever expanding. You're not going to know everyone every single time you breathed air, because some of those lifetimes were short and you don't really need to remember them. They're null and void. It was just for you to have cellular memory of not wanting to get burnt alive or drowned or cooking your food properly. We don't need those Neanderthal moments. They don't really serve a purpose. The more of the remembering of your galactic self, your higher self, your oversoul self, your other dimensionality selves, your interdimensionality selves, and all the multiversal points of you are all over the place. The pie chart. To know how infinite you are is mind-blowing. It's beautiful. Spirit's here. Like in my capacity, because I'm tearing up. But it's the truth. Once you are in and claim that awareness, it's not an ego thing. It's owning your own power and understanding where to use and project that power. It's not over others. It's not over your own self. It's a knowing. Once you have that self-exploration of that knowing, a lot of things start falling out of your paradigm that no longer serves you. You understand the game for what it is. You understand reality for what it is projecting back at you, what's reflecting back at you. And your free will choice is how to navigate through that. And what we're being tasked is how to do it out of love. Because this is where we start the big quantum leap to 4. And that quantum leap isn't going to happen until enough of humanity starts loving unconditionally all things and God itself in all expressions of what God, source, one infinite creator, the one thought, the all that is. Embracing that it's everything. Everything. And that includes everything you hate. Because that's just a reflection of what you once were or are. When you can master that and transmute the hate into love, it's going to be less work for you once you do make your ascension point and take that quantum leap. That's less work for you to do in the higher densities and for you to have more enjoyment, because you're not going to have to go back and heal all your third density lives and go back to be the guy to steer everything in love. You won't have to do that. You can go straight on to your mission because you already did the work here in the now consciousness in this octave. This is the work that I've been doing right now, is healing the ripple of time space for my other selves to start doing things more out of love and not out of fear, out of hate, out of shame and blame. This is higher consciousness working at its best. And doing it here in third, you're clearing a lot away, whether you like it or not. It's difficult work for a reason. Me not having an answer on a job, it's probably not meant to be. And that's okay, because maybe something better for me will come down the pike, right? Maybe I'm supposed to just focus on this channel and work my full-time job and put faith in the universe that I get more exposure, I get more people, and it's not really about that. It's getting the information out, but I have to eat. Bills have to get paid. We still have to function in 3D. That doesn't go away just because a particular person won a presidency. That doesn't take away the fact that you still have to live your everyday life and you have responsibilities of experience that you need to go through. It's for God to know itself in all extremes. And this is where it's playing out. And we all chose this. So we have to eat that information and accept that information. Turkey Day. I'm figuring out what's going on. Sorry about that, guys. So, is there really a soul trap machine on the moon? Or we just didn't get the experience and the upgrades just quite right. And then all of a sudden, the higher self says, let there be more light. We'll get to that. The questioner asked Ra about physical incarnations called the healing and review of such incarnation, aka life review, in my estimation of what they were trying to ask. And did this process occur prior to the veil? Ra states this process has always been expanding. Where there isn't harm, no healing occurs. A concern for the Logi, quote, which were aware that without the need to understand, understanding would forever be left undone, end quote. Yes. Okay, I got to read this next part before I expand. The one infinite creator doesn't audit the course within the experiential term. The compendium of our incarnations is instead for creator to know itself. All is a test, which creator assimilates the experience in third density. May look at the bias gained and the choice by means of automatically provided assistance or by the self condition of the next incarnation. Okay, so do we when we die, the shell, we float up into a transmutal state of energy. Our consciousness is still intact. The memories of what happened here is still very much intact. And we go through a review. All the catalysts, all the lessons learned and gained, all what you missed. There's no judgment either for yourself because you wrote a shit ton in for yourself. Let's just say that. And some of those things you already learned in a different capacity, you transcend because you already have the lesson. Well, other things you're like, why do I keep having the same kind of relationships with people? Why do I still continuously like, and you look back at all those things that just keep popping up that you do different, be different, and still shit pops up, right? What are you not seeing? What are you missing? And sometimes that has taken lifetimes to figure that out. So we do that when we're in the transmit state, the alchemizing of our what was to what is already exists anyway. The merger. If we didn't have polarity, harm, catalysts of sadness, experience, accidents, we would not understand to an in-depth proportion of what the needs to be healed. You can't have in this experience a life that is unplugged from having any kind of bad things happening to you. Okay, in a perfect scenario, even the person that has a billion, million, quadrillion dollars walks a way different path, but experiences different types of harm and accidents, and they still are not free from dying. They didn't die in terms of their shell, even if cloned. Mind you, watch Altered Carbon on Netflix. Wonderful show. It kind of helps you conceptualize a lot of this, believe it or not. All is it all of this is for God. I saw that is for God to know itself. And it's not the reflection in the is behind it. It's for God to know itself. In order for God to know itself, you got to know yourself in and out, and you got to know your triggers. You got to know the mirror that you need to look into to see the shadow. You need to know all aspects of yourself, and there are dark components to you. You can't ignore it. It's going to pop up. And taking that a little step further, that is being experienced by you through everybody else that's not you. Your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your teacher, the students, they're all reflections of you. All of them. You're you. Your soul energy, at least. Your fractals of everything. And when you're with people in your life intimately, whether that just be a friendship, that be a connection, that you assign to yourself to learn from. You can learn from anything and everything. And when you go through the emotional state, you gather understanding and wisdom. This is why we chose to have the experience that we're having, because it's in depth. It is very difficult. No one said any of this was easy. None of it is. This is why we're here. Because once we're all the majority of us are graduating, we don't have to come back to this. We will go back to this, but in a higher form to heal the other selves. Having 3D experiences. Because you just lived this experience and you know it's hard, so you know how to help somebody else navigate through it. That's what all the guides are for. Your other selves. That's why they're there. That's why you're there already. Because they already know how certain things will play out. Your free will choice is to choose the pathway of that journey. whether it's a slow walkout or it's a cheetah's pace. You get to choose. That's a choice. You can't escape any of that stuff. It's going to happen, whether it be fast or slow. Nothing that was meant for you will ever pass you by. And I believe that. If something is meant to happen, it's because you wrote it in your timeline as a catalyst for change, for your learning experience. And it depends on the interval of that experience that you choose to experience, because if you learned it in a little capacity, maybe you don't need it in a full capacity. It's very complex. Once you have the basics down, it gets a little easier to understand. Like I said, this was a very profound session. And I got to figure out what I'm on the wrong page. Hello. I'm like, I know I wrote something. I said to go to page 72. So expanding from what I just spoke about, quote, each incarnation will end with such a test. This is so that the portion of the creator may assimilate the experiences in their density and may evaluate the biases and choose what it's going to play out in the next incarnation. Okay. Quote, let us continue the metaphor of the schooling, but consider the scholar as being an entity in your younger years of the schooling process. The entity is fed, clothed, and protected regardless of whether or not the schoolwork is accomplished. Therefore, the entity does not do the homework, but rather enjoys playtime, mealtime, and vacation. It is not until there is a reason to wish to excel that most entities will attempt to excel. This is why the veil is here. And it's a good analogy. You have to want to will into power what you want for your life. And by knowing yourself, you'll start remembering what you planned for your life. And not all the time are you going to remember all of it, but you have an inkling. What is your hobbies? What is the things that you prefer over what you don't? And all of us will have a different answer to those things. This is one of the biggest that needs to be explored right here. The necessity for graduation to fourth density is an ability to use, welcome, and enjoy a certain intensity of the white light of the one infinite creator. In your own terms, at your space-time nexus, this ability may be measured by your previous stated percentages of service, which is the 50%. Prior to the veiling process, the measurement would be that of an entity walking up a set of your stairs, each of which was imbued with a certain quality of light. The stair upon which an entity stopped would be either third density light or fourth density light. Between the two stairs lies the threshold. To cross that threshold is difficult. There is resistance at the edge, shall we say, of each density. The faculty of faith or will needs to be understood, nourished, and developed in order to have an entity which seeks past the boundary of their density. Those entities which do not do their homework, be they ever so amiable, shall not cross. It was a situation which faced the logi prior to the veiling process being introduced into the experimental continuum of their density. I've been saying this all the time, and I just give you the Pista Sophia version of that and the trains and the building. We all need each other in order to graduate as a unit of people, of humanity. Okay, I'm going to individuate when I pass this physical vehicle and shell, but we're shifting third into fourth. Most of us are fourth already, but we got to get into the high octave of four. Okay, so we're in the stair step to getting to four, the full octave of four, the experience of full four. We're on the sub octave of four. Most of us are at a sub octave. All that means is just the frequency of where you are at. The threshold they're talking about is the faith of the intangibleness of what is not there in your perception, but yet still exists. It's Schopenhauer's metaphysics. The things that are not perceived, but still are there. Now, do the homework. This is where a lot of people are getting hung up on. You're not seeing God in all things. Love you guys, but you're not. And I'm not talking about the people that watch me because most of you are in that awareness. But hopefully this one day will reach people who need to hear this because of their ego, which sits in the hate, shame, and blame of we created the Illuminati. We created the evil. We created it for experience. So detach your emotional states to it, as I'm getting heightenedly emotional, because I want you all to come with. Because I care about everybody. I love everybody unconditionally. And I'm holding compassion and I'm holding out that eventually people will stop looking at the other selves as these demon Satan worshipers and oh my God, they ruined my life. No, you wrote this to transcend it. You wrote this, all of it. Sorry, it's the truth. Oh, but what about the children? They wrote their story too. We were once those children. You, it's experience. And no, we don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to have to hear about it. All these things are here to help us polarize. It's so extreme right now because there's so many people unconscious still to a lot of this. That's why we're the way showers. Many of us are way showers. We're the ones that are trying to help people wake. We're not the ones waking these people up. We're seeding. I'm seeding higher truths that most people can't stand right now. They don't want to come to that realization in themselves. That God's all things, good and evil. And it's when you transcend polarity, good and evil, and duality, because you have enough contrast to start another paradigm because you know already and experienced what needs to happen, and we're not done yet experiencing and going through tests. We still have a ton of tests to go through before we even see fourth octave of expression. It's not going to happen in a flash of light. If that's the flash of light that everybody's speaking about, no one's saying it correctly because the flash of light is source. It's God flashing its consciousness at you. Like, hi, wake up. Hi. Hi. This validates everything, especially the train station analogy that I've been saying is this is your time right now to make a choice. Are you a service to others or are you a service to yourself? But you cannot be a service to others while hating other selves. So the blue button people by one channel estimation, the Illuminati, the Satan worshipers, the people who sacrifice and do all these horrible things, they need to be here for contrast to show the extremes. It's taken this long for us to come into consciousness of the existence of such things. But it needs to be there for us to polarize and choose a path. All is experience. Detach your emotional states to these things. That is difficult. This is not an easy task to do, guys. It is not. And it takes time to incorporate this understanding and this knowing into your everyday life where you're not wanting everybody dead by wood chippers or hung. They're going to be their own judge when they transcend, and they only go up to a certain frequency in light because of how heavy and dense their soul energy is. They're not going to where I'm going, and they're going to have to do a lot of work in another density of experience to get to where many of us are going. Okay, but that's what their soul wrote for them. That's the experience. I'm not judging it. It's still source experiencing itself, and those fractals of that essence wants to experience a slow walk, wants to further explore suffering. How do you learn through suffering and depression and dense vibration? Many of us were there. We've done it in other lifetimes. Once again, the veil is there. So we don't know each and every one of the lives we were a negative in. I could have been Genghis Khan for all I know in one life. That I decimated people and wreaked havoc across the world. And yet 98% of my other lives were spent healing and being an angel and coming down and helping humanity. I needed that one polarizing life to learn a major lesson for my soul to grow. Should you judge me based off that one lifetime or the 98% of the lives that I came here to help? So equate that to Hillary Clinton and all the others. I keep saying, and I'm going to keep repeating it, she could have been Saint Germain for all we know. In this one life, she chose to do the negative polarity and play that out. Remove the attachment of emotions, especially everything outside of yourself. That's God experiencing this paradigm. Rock clearly states this. And as the questioners in the Law of One are just asking about, prior veil, pre-veil, in the end of the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. The low guy, the consciousness within the central sun and our sun decided, you know what, this isn't working. input the veil so that every time a soul comes back onto the earth plane in third density, it doesn't remember its other selves or all the differentiated parts of source that it's playing in concurrent time now. This way, there's a fresh slate. It has to earn the remembering, the great awakening. It's the great remembering. You earned it if you start remembering. And if you don't remember, don't think that you didn't earn it. Everybody's different. If you're listening to me and other people in the thought community, in the consciousness community, you have awareness. Everything is divine orchestration. It's up to your soul to deliver it to you if you're ready for it. I still don't know my archangel and inhabitants here, which one is playing me, this body. I don't know my actual soul's name. They give me like Fugazi ones. I don't know. Does it really in the end of the day matter? No, it doesn't. I know what I am. I know what makes me up, and that's not everything. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know the parts that empower me to guide me in the here and now, so I am helping humanity understand. Thus said comments. Thus said Ra spoke. I don't remember or recall reading about this when I read it the first time, 19 years ago, maybe a little bit further back, 22 years ago, I think. I wouldn't even I did not comprehend the Law of One when I first read it when I was in college. I was more into my existential philosophy bit than I was into the channeling bit. I didn't even know I was a channel till way later on after that fact. Didn't know until someone was like, Allison, you're talking in different, your diction, your projection is different. You're talking in your sleep and you're talking to something. Your disposition change. Allison, you're nonstop projecting. Holy crap, shut the fuck up, bitch. I get that a lot. But that's me channeling. It took a couple of people to like bring me into that awareness. And I'm like, oh, wow. I don't even remember what I'm saying. Oh, I'm channeling. I mean, and the people that would say, like, you're not letting anybody talk. Holy crap. I'm like, well, Spirit is trying to deliver you a message. And they're like, yeah, what you're saying is profound and over my head, though. This is when I was working back in New York, and people were like, what the fuck are you? Most profound session in terms of understanding and what guidelines 4D is bringing us. It's a quantum leap. And if we were to expand on from 1980 to the now moment, what I think could be added on to this, as the paradigm did and has shifted since, the game that we're all playing, the stage, the play kind of shifted in direction. Of course, everybody's going to have to do their homework and do the work on themselves. That's the homework. The challenge to look past is that the sleepy people are very important. It's because they're doing the work unconsciously. You might not be aware of it. Like I said, Viking is not in the awareness that I am. He needs tangible evidence, but that doesn't mean he's not ascending because he doesn't believe. He has an open mind and he needs tangible evidence. Well, his unconscious is in his higher self is doing the work. He chose a very, very extremely difficult life for him to transcend. He's not there yet to allow help to come in. He's slowly doing it. But this is just anybody that has the open mind, but it is not there yet. And that's a lot of the people I'm coming across that what they want to believe is hypocritical to what they actually project out. They want to believe they're ascending and that there are fears about ascending. Everybody's going to ascend. It's a matter of what timeline you chose to have this experience in. Are you in a faster paced one or a slower paced one? Hi, I'm an Aries. I'm the first. And this was why I came in during when I came in, because I'm a way shower. I don't think I'm ascending until the very last, because I'm making sure everybody else does before me. And some people, including I think myself, are ascending in physical death. I don't think I'm taking this body to 5. I am in 4, but I don't think I'm going to 5 in this vehicle. I'd be very shocked if I did. But that depends on what paradigm I'm choosing, and I think I'm choosing my light body and not a physical body. Where 5D, you could choose the differentiated forms of what 5D has to offer. Some of us are bypassing a lot of density because we are just volunteering to be here again. Regardless of what actually happens, it's going to be projected and done differently by each and every one of us. Because again, that is source trying to experience all potentialities, all scenarios. Every bit of it is source experiencing itself. So once you get that awareness, it doesn't matter how it happens. It's going to happen, and each and every one of us is going to have a different way of going. And that's a beautiful thing. That's why I would stop allowing CNN spiritual networks to dictate to you how everybody's ascension is going. Because yes, as humanity needs to do it together, it's going to look different across the board for how you're experiencing it, feeling it, perceiving it, and being in the awareness of it. Everybody's going to be different because source needs difference. It's consciousness. And Ross spells that out very clearly. We're a part of an experiment, and it's a beautiful one. We have to stop the negative mindsets. And it's tough because here we are in the holidays, and here we are in a loop where everybody's materialistic, and not everybody, can't generalize that, but a vast majority of humanity is very materialistic, and Christmas is around the corner, Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all these holidays where you first hear you're thankful for it, you have blessings, and then all of a sudden the next day, buy me. We could transmute this. By the way, we can. I'm just choosing to do whatever is in my flow. And I'm very thankful for all of you. I'm very thankful for all the subscribers and all the help that has been given my way. I appreciate that. That keeps me going, fed and alive. Things are rough, and they continue to be rough. But I each day get up and push forward regardless of how rough it is. And I try to transmute when those feelings come up. Not easy. Like I said, this is not an easy freaking show. I'm not on an easy stage. My stage is not flat. It has a lot of mountainous ranges I have to traverse looking good on a camera. If we equate it to a movie. Highly, highly suggest buying the series of books. It's 5. I'm on the 4th book. There is such a wealth of knowledge, even if some of it is not in your heart alignment. There's a lot here to gain a lot of wisdom from. And you can bounce it off of other people who are speaking in the consciousness community and channeling. There's a lot said that other people are channeling in the now that is very similar to Ra. It's just different personalities and characteristics. But a lot of the things being said has already been said. It's just being said differently. And maybe matured and in the time of now, which it always is in the time of now. But we keep shifting different timelines and intervals of space-time in the multiverse. So we have to take all those extremes into an awareness that things will always keep morphing and making little bits and little increments of changes because we're healing and rippling into the time space. Well, potential selves. It's gonna rain. That's what I'm happy. That's what I'm feeling. It's gonna rain. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the physical shoulder for someone to lean on. Be the lighthouse. Seed your truth respectfully and maturely. I hope everybody has a fantastic Thanksgiving. The channel WeNotMe on Rumble is having a marathon. I am not sure and aware what time. I think it's going to be at 5 Central. I don't know if it's going to start early. Don't know yet. We'll figure that one out when it comes into the awareness. But I will most likely maybe be with Viking. I don't know. I have food in the oven thanks to very kind people who donated some food to me, and I'm very thankful for that. It's okay if you're alone tomorrow. Take the time. I did a TikTok on this to self-care. Take a bath, take a longer shower, sit in meditation, paint, write, do what makes you elevate your status in your highest excitement. Okay? Are you going to decorate for Christmas? I love decorating. I have all these floaties. I have to figure out if I have the energy, the money to put it on at night. Probably not. But do what makes you happy. A holiday is just a day. And this is a hard time of year for a lot of people. So make sure that if you are alone, that you're doing your self-care, you're doing your self-introspection, and do the work on yourself. It's a great day to do it. If you're with family, just be mindful of what is coming out and being projected out of your mouth. And pick your battles wisely. Remember that all the other selves, that's your family, that's your friends, that's the people out in the outside world, are God, just like you are. And when you come into that awareness that all is in different frequencies and dimensional spaces of consciousness, You tend to be more graceful in your compassion and empathy for others. So guys, please enjoy. I don't think I'm doing a video tomorrow, but Friday I shall be hopefully live. Not sure what time. So check out my Facebook or Telegram if you're not on there. If you are somebody that's not on my private Facebook and I have it private for a reason, and you want to be a part of my, I post just this stuff and spiritual stuff. Once in a while, I'll make a thought, but if you're interested, please message me and say I'm from BitChute or YouTube. This way I know I vet, because I get a lot of scammies. Up there's Freya. And make sure you give your scraps to the pets, as long as it's pet friendly. So guys, thank you for watching. Please support me any way you can. Even that's just a click on the like. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Happy Gobble Gobble Day! Until the next one, Friday Live. Bye for now.